Good morning, students. In our previous lecture, we have discussed about our second course outcome and which we will be covering in our coming consecutive lectures. The topics which we'll be covering in the current lecture is your requirement elicitation. What do you understand by this technique? And the different techniques which are used for your requirement elicitation. That is, we will be discussing about interviews. We will be discussing in detail about brainstorming, your quality function deployment, and last but not the least, your use case approach. So all these techniques which we are using are used for gathering the requirements from the client, or we can say the customer, by using these techniques, and then we do analysis after we gather the requirements. So when we talk on to the part of your requirement consists of is one of the most difficult part. It is very critical, and the chances of having more error to it is more into it. And your communication skills has to be very good. If we are not able to ask the questions well framed and very clearly, it will be very difficult for the client or the customer to give the answer. Say for an example, if I ask anybody in the class that what do you understand by requirement, it is very clear. Everyone will understand that what I have asked, and you will answer it very efficiently and very clearly. And if I have not asked the questions in a well framed form or very clearly, then it will be difficult for you to define it. If I say requirement means what? Requirement for what you want. So this is the way we are framing the questions, and your communication, your way of talking should be such that it is easily understandable by each and every person. The pace of giving the giving your output, the way you communicate, the way you talk should be very fluent. If you are talking at a very high speed, it will be difficult for the other person to talk. If you are talking very slowly, the other person will not be able to understand what you are talking about. And if you are talking in a language which is not understandable by another person, then it will be not possible to get the correct requirement. So to have a proper communication between your customer and the client should be very simple. Your communication, your language should be simple. Your sentence framing has to be such that you are able to gather the your information well versed. So to succeed, we need to develop the effective relationship between the customer and the developer. So we need to have effective customer developer partnership. So it is the coordination between the customer and the developing team who wants to develop the product. So we need to follow each and every process very thoroughly, and very important to take into consideration the way you are communicating. We will have more errors, you may make mistakes, but still it should not be for your it should not hamper your development process. So selection of any method, we are having 4 methods which we will be discussing in our coming lectures. That is, your first is your interview, then you have a brainstorming session, then you have a quality function deployment model. This is another technique of your requirement elicitation, and fourth one is your use case approach. So it is not necessary that we will be using all these 4 approaches in a one go at one process. It is totally dependent upon the problem which you are solving it, and the technique which is giving you more output, more requirements you are able to gather. So it is one of the most important thing we need to take into consideration. It is the only method that we know. It is our favorite method for all situations. We understand intuitively that the method is effective in the present circumstances, and normally we rely on first two reasons. So the reason to select these four techniques, the another question will come into mind that ma'am, why we are selecting only these four techniques? We can use any other technique also. Yeah, I agree, but the main reason to identify these four techniques is that this is the only method we know it. Another is that it fits in all situations. You need not to identify the technique differently for different pattern. It is a common method. Everyone will embedded into your development process, into your gathering of the requirement more easily. So now students, we will be starting with our technique. The very first is your interview technique. Interview, everyone knows about it. It is, you can have a formal interview, you can have a normal interview. Interview, you have an interviewer and you have interviewee. Interviewer is a person who takes the interview, and interviewee is a person who gives the interview. It is not the interview for the job you are giving it. No, no, no. It is the interview which we are having with the customer. The developer is having with the customer to gather the requirements, what he wants from the developer, what he wants actually in the process. So both parties have the common goal, that is the success of the projects. You have interview open-ended and structured. Open-ended is that you float the questions open-endedly. Anyone can float a question, either the customer, developer. From that you have to chalk out the important requirements. And structured means you first frame the questions at the developer side, and then you go and ask the question how the requirements can be gathered. Let us take an example of a banking system. If a bank want to make a automated process, what it will do, you will straightforwardly say, sir, how many transactions you make in an account, how many accounts are there, how you process the account. So you are asking the questions in a well structured form. And open-ended is a technique of interview in which you are having some generic questions. Sir, when the customer is coming, how do you greet them? How do you if his sign is not matching, how you handle it? So these are such certain questions which cannot be framed at one time, and at one go, at writing a pen, in one go you will not be able to identify which is correct or not. While so open-ended, sometimes by having a informal interaction, you sometimes get a question from in between the communication. So you have to identify the stakeholders. Then entry level person, to whom first we should talk. First we have to talk to management, then to the lower team lead, then to the manager, then to the lower level who is actually implementing. Every person has its own importance. So to whosoever you are talking about, talking and taking an interview, you need to frame the question according to his level. So entry level person, middle level stakeholder, manager, use of the software, most important, who will be actually using the software. It is then only your success of the project lies onto the part. So students, next we will be talking onto the part of the, let us take an example that how we will be asking types of questions, any problem in the existing system, why you want to automate it, is there any calculation problem, are you not able to automate this, are you not able to identify the defaulters, transactions, how possible reasons for malfunctioning, number of students. These are the examples for your requirement, your interview sessions. Then possible benefits, you are not satisfied with the current policies, how are they maintaining records of the previous students, any requirement for data. So these are the different questions which you ask from the interviewee, and you get the answer and you jot down into your pen and paper. At the end, we may have a wide variety of expectation from the proposed software. Why we are using this technique? Interview is a technique. Why we are asking these questions? We are asking these questions to identify what all the customer want in his or her software. So is there any doubt? Please, at the end of my lecture, you can ask it. Another is your brainstorming session. Brainstorming session is that you have you go to a person, personally meet him, and you ask the questions in such a way that he is giving you the answers very correctly. Your framing of the question, the process of asking the question will let you know that what problems the existing system is having. Everyone, if I ask you right now, do you have any problem with this subject? You will not let me know that why we are having this problem. The teacher is not good. We are not able to understand his communication skills or her communication skills are not good. PPTs are not good. No, you will say, no ma'am, everything we understand, but some topics we are not able to clarify. Then I will ask it, okay, why the topics are not clarified? Ma'am, actually some will say, okay ma'am, slide content was not done. I will note down slide content. Ma'am, communication skill ma'am is teaching, but we are not able to understand what she's teaching. So I will say, oh, communication skills are the another thing which we are not talking about. Then so this is how you frame the questions in such a way that you are able, by using a brainstorming session, I am able to get back what are the negative points, what are the weaker points which I am not able to get it into interview. When I am having an interview, you only talk to a particular set of people. So what those set of people will do, they can manipulate the answers. Fine, if I am talking to everyone, so I need to have, they will always tell positive about the institute. So to know the weaker points of the organization or of the company or the project, we need to have a brainstorming session. It is a group technique and group discussion. Interview can be one to one, only 2-3 people. You will call the managers. You how many managers? 4 managers, 5, 6, that's all. The person who is actually dealing, the manager will decide who will come to the interviewer and give the answers. But brainstorming session is a group. You say, okay, entire batch, come to us. Let me give me one example. You all have CRs in your class. Generally, what is the scenario for every meeting? What they are doing? Dean sir is having meeting. He generally calls the CRs of the class. VC ma'am is having meeting. They will call the CRs of the class. But if we really want to know what is the actual problem, then sir will say to PC that PC sir, please organize a meeting with the group of your entire batch. Let us have the discussion. Then sir will ask the questions in such a way and will talk on to the top problem in a different positive manner, that he will identify the what is the actual problem. Those two people can, maybe somebody has spoon feeded them and they will give a positive response, but the actual problem will come when we will be talking to the group of people. So it is a group technique and it is a group discussion. You new ideas quickly and creative thinking. These are the two things which we come across with your brainstorming session. Prepare long list of requirements and you categorize it, you prioritize it, and you prune it. Categorize means you categorize into high, level, low. Prioritize, you 1 2 3 4 or 5 6 7 8, either in increasing order, either in decreasing order. So the idea is to generate view, not to vet them. The groups, you have the users, middle level management, and total stakeholders. Then a facilitator may handle the group bias conflicts carefully. The facilitator is a person who is conducting a group discussion, who has arranged that that group discussion, brainstorming session. He is a facilitator. It is his responsibility to keep those group of people, those who are unbiased, who are not giving always positive points. They will tell you something important and crucial information also, and we need to make sure that there is no contradictory statements, there is no fight in the sessions. Facilitator may follow a published agenda. Like before coming to a group brainstorming session or a group discussion, they should tell, today we will have discussion on this particular topic. Like if we give a presentation to you, we tell beforehand that tomorrow we will have present, on next week Tuesday we will have presentation on requirement engineering. So these students, please be ready. Any student I can ask it. So this is, they should know what next session is. We will, like another example for is here having an open quiz. Open quiz, you tell the students 1 week before that next week I will be having a open end quiz. So students are well prepared. From unit 1 I am having, so they are well prepared, they work according to that, and they read it. Every idea will be documented in a way that everyone can see it. There is nothing hidden, there is no verbal. A proper document, a written document is prepared. So whenever anybody is saying that I have not said this, you can say, no sir, I have asked this question and you have said this, I got this answer from this discussion. Though they will not mention the name of the person, but they will tell that what question was asked and what answer I have got. And then you prepare a detailed documentation. So another is your fast application specification technique. It facilitated application specification technique. It is also much more similar to a brainstorming session. It is team oriented. A joint team from both customer and developer is created and they work on to the. So the guideline is they arrange a neutral place. They are not going customer, the developer is not going to customer site or customer is not going to the developer site. They will find a neutral place. Either they will go to a hotel or to a park or something like that. Then they will arrange a meeting. Neutral site means this: establish rules for participation. Who all will be the members of these discussion? They decide beforehand. Informal agenda to encourage free flow ideas. Informal, sometimes you directly, in brainstorming we generally give the formal agenda. In this you do not give a agenda. You just said that to make just to meet you I have called. So appointment of facilitator, it is the customer as well as the developer who will identify that who has organized the meeting. Sometimes the customer has organized the meeting, sometimes the developer has organized the meeting. So prepare definition mechanism board, worksheet, wall stickers. Participants should not criticize or debate. Every technique which we are using, please students keep in mind, which we are using is talking on to the part of your getting the correct information. We are not having any discussion or interview which is for criticizing or having a debatable topic. So fast session prepare, each attendee is asked to make a list of the objects that are part of the environment that surrounds the system, produced by the system, used by the system, list of constraint functions and performance criteria. Every participant present his or her list, combined list, discussion, consensus list, sub-team of mini specification, presentation of mini specification, validation criteria, a sub-team to draft specifications. Then you have another technique that is known as your quality function deployment. It is a technique which is used to incorporate the voice of the customer. It is basically for gathering the technical requirements from the customer. You document it, and the prime concern is customer satisfaction. What is important for customer? You have normal requirements, you have expected requirements, and you have excited requirements. Normal requirements are generally, students, are those requirements which everyone wants. Let me give you a one example. Like if we are buying a phone, for that what we will do, the normal requirement for buying a phone is that it should be smartphone, it should be 5G enabled, it should have a good camera pixel, and it should have a huge memory size. This is normal requirement of a phone. So expected, that is all what I am expecting. And expecting requirement another is, yeah, when you want and expecting that these WhatsApp should be installed, your Zoom should be there, and all these things. And excited, you are excited when it is giving an antivirus to it, it is having a face recognition into your phone, and it is having a free connection of your Netflix and your Amazon Prime into your phone, giving the connection, giving an insurance extended warranty for 2 years free of cost, giving the replacement warranty of your equipment. So these, then you are very excited, no, I will buy this only. So these requirements are there. So the steps to do your quality function deployment is your identify stakeholders, list out the requirements and the degree of requirement of each. So how you give the degree? That is 5 points, very important. 4 points important. 3 not important but nice to have. 2 not important, and 1 unrealistic required further. So requirement engineering can categorize like it is possible to achieve, it should be deferred, and why it is impossible and should be dropped from the consideration. First category requirement will be implemented as per priority assigned with every requirement. So another approach is your use case approach. Use case approach is one of the most important and crucial approach, and this a technique we generally study in your object oriented software engineering. And to learn this approach, the best book is your Ivar Jacobson book. It is a very old book, very good book. You study it from here and you will understand it. It is a giving the functional view of your entire system, how your system is interacting with the actor. You have the different terms which we use for your use case approach is your, you sometimes say use case, you say use case scenario, use case diagram, use case approach. These three are the different synonyms which we use, or the similar words which we use for your use case approach. Use cases are structured outline or template for the description of user requirement model in a structured language like English. So this is what use case is talking about. Use case is basically telling that how your system is interacting with the actors. It is not talking that how the functionality will be performed, but it is talking that how the function of a system is used by the customer. Actor over here is your customer. You use a function with the oval shape and actor with the actor symbol. So use case scenario is unstructured. How your functionality or the requirements are arranged, it does not matters in your use case diagram. So that is why it is an unstructured description. So requirement can be put it in a haphazard form and according to the convenience of the developer. Use case diagrams are graphical representation that may be decomposed into further level of abstraction. Components of use case are actor. Right now I have told that you have actor into it. Actor is a person, it is an external agent, it is a person, it can be machine, it can be information, it can be a server which is interacting with the system. So an actor or external agent lies outside the system model but interacts with it in some way. Like I have given, it is a person, machine and information system. So Cookburn distinguish between the primary and secondary actor. Primary actor is that actor which is having one goal and is the main person, is assistant of the system. And secondary of the secondary actor is the one from which the system needs assistance. So primary, which is giving an assistant to the system, and secondary is a actor which the system needs an assistant. So use case is initiated by a user with a particular goal in mind and completes successfully when the goal is satisfied. So it describes the sequence of interaction between actors and the system necessary to deliver the services that satisfies the goal. Alternate sequence. System is treated like a black box. What the system, how the functionality is performing, how it will give an output, how it will process, it is not known to the person. That is why it is known as a black box. You do not know that how the function is giving an output, how it is processing. So it is mandatory to, it is not mandatory that how the function will be performing the activity, but it that how the function is used by an actor, how actor is interacting with the function. And thus the use case captures who actor does what interaction with the system for what purpose without dealing with the system internals. So students, now we will be studying use case diagram in detail in our coming lectures, and for any doubts or queries you feel free to contact me at my Gmail ID, or this is my phone number, or your WhatsApp group. Thank you students. Have a good day.